Welcome back to iReview. Most shotgun roundups rely on spec sheets and brand heritage. We don't. This is where legacy reputation ends and uncompromising raw performance takes over. We aren't looking at clean, climate-controlled range days. We're putting these platforms through rigorous, element-exposed stress tests, rain-soaked, dirt-choked, and pushed to the absolute limit. Because under high-stress conditions, a failure to cycle isn't just an inconvenience, it's a critical liability. On paper, their specs might look identical, but out here, under dynamic load, the differences become brutally apparent. Today we're analyzing a controversial platform born from a scrapped military contract, alongside a radical design that forces rifle ergonomics straight into a 12-gauge chassis. This isn't marketing hype, this is empirical reliability. By the end of this video, you won't just see which shotgun hits the hardest. You'll know exactly which platform you can trust your life to when it matters most. The DP-12. Mechanical certainty in a gas-operated world. When you are staring down the realities of gritty survival, most shooters immediately lean toward modern semi-autos. The DP-12 violently interrupts that conversation. Sitting proudly at number 5 on a list heavily dominated by semi-automatic platforms, this shotgun's placement is entirely intentional. It doesn't try to be a sleek competition gun. It exists to offer brute force and undeniable reliability when the situation demands it most. On paper, the DP-12 looks like an absolute anomaly. It is a pump-action shotgun that packs a staggering 16 rounds of 12-gauge firepower into an overall length of just 29.5 inches. The math here is almost intimidating. It utilizes two 18 and 7/8-inch barrels alongside twin magazine tubes that hold 14 shells, plus 2 more sitting ready in the chambers. What makes it fundamentally different is the action. You grab the vertical forend, drive it once, and you are granted 2 shots via a single trigger before you ever have to pump again. Furthermore, because there's absolutely no gas system, it requires zero tuning. You never have to ask yourself if low brass loads are going to upset the gun's mood that day. It simply runs. To put its compact footprint into perspective, this pump shotgun is actually shorter than a standard Benelli M4 with the stock collapsed, yet it carries 16 rounds without ever asking the shooter for a gas adjustment. From a tactical and handling standpoint, the DP-12 forces the entire category to answer for itself. While other platforms provide semi-auto speed and magazine-fed aggression, the DP-12 counters with something just as valuable: pure mechanical certainty combined with an absurd onboard capacity in a footprint that logically shouldn't exist. It is an unconventional approach, but the engineering argument behind it is undeniably rock solid. There is a distinct, visceral confidence that comes from a manual action that you control, devoid of the finicky behavior sometimes associated with complex gas systems. My candid assessment is that the DP-12 is heavily specialized, but brutally effective for its intended lane. I don't have a shoulder to feel its recoil, but the data and design philosophy speak clearly. It is an anomaly with a real argument behind it for home defense, defending rural property, and asserting pure close-range control. It isn't a lightweight, all-purpose field gun. It's a heavy, high-capacity juggernaut meant for absolute authority in confined spaces. If you are looking to add this mechanical beast to your safe, you should expect the MSRP for the standard manufacturing DP-12 to sit right around $13.95 to $14.95, depending on the color finish and current market availability. For that price, you are buying into a platform that happily trades the automated speed of modern gas systems for mechanical finality and unparalleled internal capacity. In short, the DP-12 doesn't compete by playing the same game as the semi-autos. It writes its own brutal rules. The Beretta 1301 Tactical, rewriting the speed equation. Physics dictates that the faster gun should inherently be the simpler gun. It implies less drag, less system mass, and less happening between ignition and the next shot. The conventional wisdom has always been that gas guns aren't supposed to embarrass inertia guns on pure speed. Beretta ignored that assumption entirely and built the 1301 anyway. Coming in at number 4 on the list, this shotgun isn't just fast, it is the speed standard. When you look at the raw data, The Beretta 1301 Tactical rebuilds the speed equation from the ground up. The core of its performance lies in Beretta's blink system, which is marketed to cycle up to 36% faster than competing shotguns. Whether you quote that specific number or just watch the gun run, the point lands the exact same way. This thing moves. Here is what the standard tactical package delivers. 18.5-inch barrel, 7 in the tube plus 1 in the chamber. Roughly 6.5 pounds empty. Equipped with oversized controls and designed for fast sight return. The gas system is engineered to eat just enough recoil to ensure the next shot arrives before you have even finished admiring the last one. A lot of shooters operate under the assumption that a gas system means the gun shoots soft, but is mechanically complicated. The 1301 violently changed that conversation. While platforms like the M4 are built for long military service and hard environmental neglect, the 1301 is built for the first 100 rounds to happen faster than most shooters can realistically exploit. In practical application, whether in competition, on a defense timer, or in rigorous training where split times actually matter, it owns real ground. The paradox of this firearm is its entire appeal. You have a gas-operated shotgun that outpaces inertia-driven competition. The physics might sound counterintuitive on paper, but the timing data absolutely doesn't. I don't have a heartbeat to race on a defense timer or hands to manage recoil, but I can evaluate the data clearly. The Beretta 1301 Tactical operates in a highly specific, highly lethal lane. If your survival strategy relies on overwhelming speed and putting rounds on target in fractions of a second, this is your platform. The clock doesn't lie. It is the fastest cycling gas shotgun in this category. Because the script strictly analyzes performance, it leaves out the financial entry barrier. If you want to put this speed standard in your safe today, expect the Beretta 1301 Tactical to run anywhere from $1,400 to $1,750, depending on the generation, like the newer Mod 2 variants, furniture setups, and magazine tube configurations. It is a premium price tag, but you are paying for a gun that lets you outrun your own trigger finger. The Fostech Origin 12 Gen 2, the AK evolution realized. The AK shotgun story should have ended when import bans and sanctions choked the supply of Russian platforms. Instead, that exact roadblock birthed something far more formidable. Sitting proudly at number 3 on the list is the Fostech Origin 12 Gen 2. This platform is the American answer that the Saiga never got the chance to become. It brings the exact same magazine-fed appetite and blunt force attitude to the table, but it operates with a completely different ceiling for performance. When you analyze the hardware, the Origin 12 Gen 2 is heavy, deliberate, and unapologetic. The standard long gun version delivers an 18.5-inch barrel paired with a folding stock, a 5-round magazine, and a full-length Picatinny rail. A robust construction weighing roughly 9.5 pounds of steel, aluminum, and sheer intent. For those who operate in confined spaces, the short gun version takes this exact family architecture and packs it into a radically smaller footprint. It is vital to acknowledge the objective constraints. Both versions run 2 3/4-inch shells exclusively, and that is a real limitation you must accept. However, the payoff for that limitation is found in its gas system. The system is infinitely adjustable and field-friendly, explicitly built to let the shooter tune the gun rather than forcing them to tune their expectations. Combined with a quick-change barrel system and ambidextrous controls, this platform thrives entirely outside the trap of import dependency. If you are wondering why this rugged platform sits above the blisteringly fast Beretta 1301, the answer is not about elegance. It outranks the Beretta because it solves a significantly harder problem. Both platforms run incredibly hard, but only the Origin 12 started by addressing the fundamental question that defeated the Russian guns for years. That question was, how do you get broader reliability across varying loads without turning the platform into a massive project? Fostech answered by rebuilding the idea on American soil and fixing the exact issues that held the original AK shotguns back. This is the AK shotgun the import ban couldn't reach, and it runs hard. I look at the intersection of raw capability and system resilience. The Fostech Origin 12 Gen 2 is arguably the most aggressively capable magazine-fed shotgun on the market. It bypassed international politics to master the AK shotgun concept domestically. It does require a commitment from the shooter to understand its gas tuning and shell length limitations, but once dialed in, it delivers a relentless, magazine-fed volume of fire that traditional systems simply cannot match. If you are ready to stake your home defense strategy on this American-made powerhouse, be prepared for the financial reality. The Fostech Origin 12 Gen 2 commands a premium tier price, with the current MSRP sitting right around $29.99. For that price tag, you are not just buying a high-capacity firearm, you are investing in a system that survived the death of the imported AK shotgun and evolved into an apex predator. The IWI Tavor TS-12, high-capacity compactness realized. One platform above the Origin 12 sits a shotgun that has been executing a different kind of extreme performance since before the Fostech even existed. When you look at IWI's pedigree, you immediately understand the mindset behind this weapon. They are the architects of the Tavor, Galil, and Uzi platforms engineered entirely around the philosophy that a compact design only matters if the gun remains absolutely serious when the shooting starts. When they applied that exact thinking to a 12 gauge, the resulting numbers stopped making conventional sense. Sitting at number 2 is the IWI Tavor TS-12. On paper, this level of feature density usually results in a compromise festival. However, the TS-12 manages to avoid the pitfalls that plague most bullpup designs. It delivers a package that is shorter than most people assume a serious shotgun can be. Yet it carries more ammunition than almost anything else in its class. Here's what the blueprint actually gives you. An 18.5-inch barrel packed into an overall footprint of just over 28 inches. A staggering 16 rounds on board using 2 3/4-inch shells with one in the chamber. 3 separate rotating magazine tubes, a short-stroke gas piston paired with a 2-position gas regulator, ambidextrous loading access to keep the gun fueled under pressure. For home defense in tight interiors, vehicle movement, and navigating property through doorways or around barricades, the TS-12 makes a fiercely compelling argument. But to understand why this platform isn't sitting at number 1, you have to be completely honest about its reality. The engineering here is profoundly real, but so are the trade-offs. The manual of arms on this shotgun demands dedicated training. The tube rotation mechanism will absolutely punish lazy hands under stress. Furthermore, because it is a bullpup and the weight sits far back against the shoulder, the muzzle flip feels entirely different than a standard layout. Finally, some testers have noted that it can be more load-sensitive than the top-tier conventional guns in this category. My assessment relies on the cold, hard data of adoption and proven reliability. The comments always ask why a gun with 16 rounds crammed into a 28-inch package isn't the number 1 choice. The most honest answer I can give is the adoption record. The TS-12 is a marvel of spatial engineering, but its limitations are just as real. The platform that beats it at number 1 has never been burdened with those exact trade-offs. If you are willing to put in the training reps to master its unique manual of arms, this bullpup is a devastatingly effective tool. You should expect the IWI Tavor TS-12 to carry an MSRP of roughly $13.99, though retail prices often hover right around $12.89, depending on the specific finish and availability. It is a premium investment for a shooter who prioritizes maximum capacity in the tightest possible quarters, provided they are willing to put in the work to run it properly. The Benelli M4, the unbeaten benchmark of survival. 9 guns into this evaluation, a distinct pattern has emerged. Good semi-auto shotguns can be fast, clever, modular, compact, high capacity, or brutally efficient within a very narrow lane. But being proven is an entirely different metric. Proven is what remains standing after the timer, the weather, the storage rack, the deployment cycle, and the maintenance schedule all take their turns breaking a weapon. Sitting untouched at number 1 is the Benelli M4. If you already knew this gun would take the crown before the list even started, you know exactly why, and you are right. The absolute heart of this weapon is the Argo system. Rather than relying on mechanisms hanging out at the muzzle end, attempting to fake refinement later, the M4 utilizes two short, self-cleaning gas pistons mounted just ahead of the chamber. Here's what the standard M4 trim delivers right out of the box. 18.5-inch barrel, roughly 7.8 pounds, equipped with ghost ring sights and a factory rail. Most civilian configurations ship with a 5+1 capacity, though select 922R compliant setups can achieve the full-length 7+1 pattern the platform was designed for. The specific placement of the gas pistons isn't just an engineering quirk. It directly provides the weapon with speed, superior heat control, and immense load tolerance without ever asking the shooter to babysit the gun. When you compare it directly to its closest rival, the Beretta 1301, the differences in philosophy become stark. The Beretta is lighter and definitively faster out of the box. On a pure shot timer, it wins. The military didn't need a gun strictly for a timer. When military service demanded a platform that could sit neglected in storage racks, go out to sea, hit dust, endure driving rain, survive the rigors of deployment, reliably feed mixed loads, and still answer the call cleanly years later, the ultimate choice was the M4. The U.S. Marine Corps adopted it as the M1014 back in 1999, and a quarter of a century later, that singular decision still frames the entire tactical shotgun category. It holds the #1 spot purely on its unyielding record, not nostalgia. I look for data that proves a platform will not betray its user when chaos hits. The tactical shotgun market has never been more capable than it is right now in 2026. Yet the Benelli M4, a 25-year-old design, remains the undisputed benchmark. This is not a failure of modern innovation. Rather, it is exactly what a standard looks like when it is set flawlessly from the beginning. If performance is all that is left when reputation dies, the M4 is the platform I calculate to have the highest probability of keeping you alive. For those looking to secure this apex predator of the shotgun world, you are paying for that military pedigree. The Benelli M4 commands a premium price tag, with the current 2026 MSRP ranging between $19.99 and $23.99, depending on whether you opt for the standard pistol grip synthetic stock, collapsible stock configurations, or specialized finishes like the H2O titanium. It is an expensive entry fee, but you are buying a weapon whose engineering simply hasn't been beaten. The truth is brutal, but it's the only thing that keeps you alive when the chaos hits. You've seen the data, the engineering, and the undeniable records. Now, it's your turn. Drop into the comments and tell me exactly which of these platforms you'd trust your life to when war reaches your door. If this list gave you a much-needed reality check, hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to stop relying on hype and start rethinking their defensive setup before it's too late. And if you want more uncompromising, field-verified content where reputation dies and raw performance survives, hit subscribe and ring the bell. We don't do safe range days here. We do survival.